We've already taken a head count on the roll call and everything. We have two folks that are excused this evening, Director Dennis Schaffner and Director Shanine McArdle. And then we have one vacant seat awaiting an appointment.
Do you have anybody in mind for that?
No, ma'am.
So anybody could apply?
No one's applied that I know of.
I mean, is there a thing out that you're looking for? Are you guys asking for somebody to sign up or what?
There's a
It's word of
form,
mouth.
there's a form on the supervisor's page for that if someone would like to volunteer for it. Okay, next item is the public comment period. Any member of the public may address the council regarding any matter of concern to Rosamond residents. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, law prohibits the council from taking action on matters that are not on the agenda. Please limit your presentation to 2 minutes.
So we've been talking a little bit around town about traffic relief in town and how to relieve some of the traffic coming across Rosamond Boulevard potentially. I have a couple thoughts on that. I've talked to Lisa about it, and I've talked over here about it a little bit, and I know. Shoulder that slipped my mind for a second. But so some of my thoughts are pave 30th Street to A. We should be looking at that as a long-range plan to pave 30th Street to A. That'll really gives a potential of relieving traffic out of West Park onto the freeway to take 30th to A to the freeway, and then relieve some of that traffic coming along. And then in the long-range plan, if you go look at the Rosamond long-range plan, there is planned an overpass at Orange Street. And look and see what we can do to get funding and maybe some help to start heading that route as a secondary crossing for Rosamond residents. That would ultimately take everybody from West Park also. Orange runs to the north side of West Park. And that would take all that and let that come over the freeway potentially. I think Caltrans has kind of been looking like they've been maybe thinking about putting 2 lanes eastbound over the overpass. It's not really a good way to do that with the on-ramp mess they've already made there, off-ramp mess. So, a couple of thoughts, maybe something to talk about in the future as we go forward.
Yeah, actually the near future, because that road is constantly a mess. From about 7:30 to a certain time, and then after school is out, and also when people are coming home. It's just an absolute mess. And you can see it's really taking a toll on that road anyway. There's big chunks of cement all the time. There's junk all over. The on-ramps and off-ramps have been hit so often. In fact, they both need a repair. So I did talk to Caltrans and talking about those repairs that needed to be made, so they're aware of it, but nothing's been done. So, but I think we need to actually do something.
Well, we just happen to be looking at various things related to roads in Rosamond. The council here has been trying to identify things that need work. We've even had people doing inputs directly to Public Works on areas that need repair. The one aspect of taking 30th Street down to Avenue A is one of the items that is on the work list, along with extending Dawn Avenue from the interchange there over to Sierra Highway. Also completing Laurel Road, which runs around the perimeter of that one old subdivision there and goes by the new subdivision. It just parallels the 14th.
Yeah, but that doesn't alleviate any traffic issues because you got the same issue right there at Acacia and Rosamond Boulevard.
True, but if you run Holiday Avenue out to meet it, that catches all of those streets, I believe. It catches 40th, 35th, and 30th, and I believe.
And you've got guys coming out of the frontage road trying to get everything on there with an already excessive speeded road as it is that I travel every day. You know,
well, there's 3 or 4 things that we're looking at in that area. It would just doing one from 30th down to Avenue A by itself may not be enough to relieve that because of the additional 250 housing units that are going in on the corner of Rosamond Boulevard and 30th Street West. And there's another development that's coming in down there, so there's going to have to be probably more than one relief valve.
Well, yeah, at some point there probably will be, but at least 30th would be an easy, I mean, it's probably over half the way paved already as it exists today. The nice thing is if LA County got their act together and paved 30th Street back down to D, it gives you another nice alternate to Sierra Highway if the freeway's ever closed, instead of having to go all the way out to 60th Street again.
Mhm.
So there's a couple things to look at there.
So when you say we, is there something on the front of somebody that can say, yeah, barely, this is a great idea, and that's where we're going?
No, the one thing that I did over the holiday period, I've been doing a lot of personal driving around, looking at roads and stuff like that. I've got a list of about 75 items that need attention. There's also about 6 paving projects that need to be planned for and evaluated to determine whether they should do something like that. So there's things there, but all the other things that we're doing, we still need to push on. For example, Rosamond Boulevard. It's a bad location where it's at in relationship to Rosamond Elementary School. They're already at Caltrans doing planning for something to fix that problem. But it's not at the point where there's anything to put out to the public yet on it.
It's in the beginning phases. So
It's
in the beginning phase, the very
There's a
beginning.
lot of chatter about this, so it'd be nice to let people know that's what you guys are working on, and it's gonna go forward at some point, and that you've looked at this, because there's just a lot of chatter about it, and nothing, we don't know if anything's being done.
Well, we didn't really know very much about it until the meeting, I believe, in November, where John Williams actually brought us up to date on that project. Because it's really still within the internals of Caltrans. I don't think there's been that many meetings on it.
So maybe invite Caltrans to one of our meetings to actually draw some people in here and actually have them hear what's a plan for our area.
Is there anything from the county that states that? Sorry. Is there anything from the county of a layout of what their game plan is? Or is that only Caltrans that?
The overpass is strictly the responsibility of Caltrans.
That'd be Caltrans, but the other roads, is that Public Works, Kern County Public Works, or?
Yes, that'd be public works.
So do they have any game plan of,
They do not have a
or a
foreseen map.
forecast?
No.
So the delineators are Caltrans? Has
Those
anything,
plastic delineators, yeah.
has anything been said about taking those out?
The alternate to that would be K-Rail.
Yeah, well, why did we need them in the first place?
Because we have problems with folks that are coming at a high rate of speed off the ramp, wanting to make a left-hand turn onto Glendower.
And
They
so-
had too many fatal accidents.
And so now we have them coming faster off their off-ramp because they have their own lane. And they know they can just come screaming around there and not even look.
All I
And
can
so-
do is go by the information California Highway Patrol has given me, and that is that intersection is now a lot safer than it used to be. There has been no accidents.
Really?
That's
I own
correct.
Foster Freese and I got them marked on my calendar and I know how many have come into my parking lot. I know how many times my poles have been knocked down by cars. I know how many bricks have been taken out. I know how many cars that come over the thing, went through the driveway and hit the wall instead of the back of the motel. And if you want that, there's over 100 accidents.
Send it in.
Rollovers come
Send it
into
in.
my driveway and roll over. The CHPs are tired of it.
And the information I just gave to you came from the California Highway Patrol.
And that's why I was asking, do you guys agree with that?
So what happens is Caltrans, the Highway Patrol, and Public Works all get together and do these plans. So that was agreed upon between Caltrans, the Highway Patrol, and then a few other entities within the county. They all agreed on it and mapped it out. It is being adjusted, but it's in the beginning stages of being adjusted. Because we know that it is not a problem solver. It's created a bigger problem. We do understand that. There has been accidents. There's been no fatal accidents, I think is what John said. No fatal accidents since they put in the deflectors.
So someone's gotta die for it to change.
Was there a fatal accident there before?
There was.
There was?
There was.
I've lived here since I was 4, and Fran lived on that street, up in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what we were told by the CHPs, that there was fatal accident there.
And
But
I've
that's
owned the
why-
Foster Freese for 32 years. So I don't know when it was.
I'm not sure.
I was here before the freeway was here, so. Fran was too, she's my neighbor.
And I was here before the freeway was here.
That's
how old we are.
All of it.
I think this gentleman, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Curtis.
Curtis. He has some really productive, good ideas, I
Yeah.
think. So maybe you guys could work on drafting a report to turn into Public Works. Or to ask Public Works to come here and present a report to them of some of his ideas. And maybe put a PowerPoint together or something as to what road you think would benefit from paving and why, and how the traffic patterns would change, things like that.
Yeah,
We'll get
Greg,
together and
Greg
do that
Hope
over
is
Curtis.
looking to come back to and visit us because he was here late last year. So we could certainly do something.
I mean, if I can help give you guys some input or whatever, just to lean on the county and say, here's what we would like to see, you know, maybe respectfully ask for once, right?
Maybe we should actually have a meeting and
I think you should invite them both here at the same time, Caltrans and Camp.
ask them what they think, and then call it Public Works.
Does the county not have traffic engineers who look at traffic flows?
Well, yes, they do.
They did a great job on Rosamond.
Well, that's their job. I would take, you're not talking about Caltrans. I've dealt with Caltrans for years. You need to talk to them.
Right.
You know, you need to go talk to Caltrans and their engineers if you want something to change. And
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at, is who owns, so 30th would probably be owned by Public Works, right? The overpass would be owned by Caltrans. I think you kind of got to hit it from both sides.
Yeah,
If
together
you want
as
to.
a
You know,
team.
you have to go after that whole
Double
thing
gamut, right?
because it's like anything that comes up to the overpass. At a certain point, Kern County Roads is no longer responsible for it.
But they should be submitting requests that we need some relief here to Caltrans and asking, hey, can you guys look at this? So if we can get, what I told Fran earlier was if we can get the county to start getting them on board with this, can they help us lean on Caltrans and say, here's what we thought would help, can you guys take a look at this? Instead of letting them just make it up on their own, let's spoon feed them the idea and give them something to look at.
Great idea, great idea.
I did talk to Caltrans last week, and they are very, very approachable. So, very helpful, the gentleman I talked to. But I do think we need to bring them together. I mean, we can all call separately and do whatever, but it's like, we as a community need
We'll
to
arrange
get
that,
this in
Fran.
here.
We
Yeah.
will arrange that very soon,
All right.
very soon.
Is there anybody working with them, like you're talking about these plans that they're coming up with? Is there anybody from here working with them to come up with these plans, or do we just get these plans thrown at her and say, this is what we're gonna do?
It does come to that stage, they're just not at that point yet. And they will have like an open meeting.
No, but that's when they're already done and decided what they're gonna do, is when they'll have an open meeting. They'll come to you and say, here's the drawing, this is what we're gonna do, what do you think? And then it's too late.
Fair enough, that's why we need to come to them first. So we'll get together and get a plan drawn up and go to them. And I'll send it in to you, and we can get going with Public Works.
Okay, any other items?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a public comment?
Yes,
section?
please.
Okay, yeah. My name's Sherry Tim. I live out in the Lands of Promise area, and I'd like to address the Rmac about the Jim Hill open pit mining project. I understand it's probably in the environmental review impact now. I don't know what the protocol is. I know you guys have to wait till that's been done. Is there any information you can share with us
We
about that
have
project?
essentially the same thing that you have available to you that's on the Kern County website. And it stands right now for us, they're not taking any comments regarding this until the draft environmental impact report is issued.
Okay, and I kind of feel like, Roger, yeah, once they bring all that out, it's already kind of late, because you've got this is a really bad project for our area. It's gonna deplete water, and they're gonna drill their own well for dust control out there. You've got, I don't know how many people live out in the Lands of Promise in the Ancient Valley area, but, you know, we're seeing how Soledad Mountain's being brought down, you know, and we out there, that's at least 7 to 10 miles from where we live in Lands of Promise. This project is 2 miles from the Lands of Promise area, and they're going to be drill blasting, really, Monday through Saturday.
Yeah,
So I just want to bring public awareness to this project, that it really does not belong in that area at all.
Until we see the draft environmental impact report, we don't know what they're going to do.
Is our county
I mean,
supervisor
there's a lot of speculation out there as to what's going to happen.
Well, it's not
She asked if there
speculation.
was a rep here from the county.
Yeah, okay.
I was just raising my hand.
Sherry, we know how to stop that. All you gotta do is go to the county and get them to impose conditional uses, just like we can do with the solar, because the county's gonna say yes, because it's money in their
Of
pocket.
course they are.
So the conditional uses, if you make the price go up so high with conditional uses, they can't afford to do the project. That's the only way to get the county to stop it. Because the county, as long as environmental impact comes back and says, yeah, it's okay, and you can't
Because
argue
you're going
that.
to pay to mitigate the issues.
So, right, yeah, pay to mitigate the issues, right? Make it costly for them. They should be
Yeah.
having to put up curbs, gutters, sidewalks, street lights, just like any other commercial
Absolutely.
property.
And, you know, we moved to a rural area, built a house 29 years ago because of the natural beauty of the desert in that area, and it's totally been eroded. Solar farms, you name it, have come in. And with no regard to the constituents of this area for those kind of projects.
Watershed or anything.
Right.
The county seems to me, over the years that I've been here, is that if somebody comes to them with money, it's money in their pocket, and it doesn't matter about Rosamond, and it's been that way.
Well,
I was on a committee that approved restrooms for the park. That park's been the same as it's been since I was 4 years old, and this town has grown huge since then. And we approved a restroom in that park, a new one, and guess what? It hasn't been done in 25 years since I was on Parks and Rec Committee, and approved, it was approved when I was there. So when people talk, when I've come to these meetings, when people talk about this, we're gonna talk, guess what? Until somebody goes over there and finally puts their foot down and quits being nice, they're gonna just take the money, all the tax money that's coming from Rosamond, and just use it in Kernville, wherever they're having fun with it.
Yeah, and depleting our natural resources.
Exactly. There's no Mojave ground squirrel anymore. There's no tortoise. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff if you have enough money.
And we get
And
totally.
the county says, oh, this
Absolutely.
much money, we'll take it. Oh, forgot about that. Oh, I can't, when I was a kid, I couldn't ride my motorcycle because it would erode a little trail. Now, out by her house, they mowed the whole desert down. The water comes right through there. It brought silt and covered the whole airport with a 1/4 inch of silt the one time when they had the rain about 4 or 5 years ago up there in Tehachapi. It came
7 years
through
ago.
there and just washed all
Elk
that
Creek washout.
bare dirt right in across the runway, down the taxiways. It was like a little mud flow, just went through everywhere. Fine silt.
Okay,
You wanna know the truth?
both points are noted about
County doesn't
roads.
care.
Yeah.
and
It's money in their
about,
pocket, believe me.
Jim
They
Hill.
don't care.
They don't.
But
They don't care.
at this point, we don't have any answers for you, except to take down the comments. She's not gonna be able to fix the problem for you
Does our representative have any more
tonight.
information about this? Do you have any information about the project?
I don't, honestly, I don't.
Well, I know the
I
state
know it
review
is
has been
an
done.
environmental impact study report right now. I would suggest that if there's, something that you're concerned about, I can give you email addresses of where you can email.
I've already emailed my opposition to, I think his name's Randall Cates.
Yep, I did too.
Yes, definitely do that, and you can do District 2 at currentcounty.com as well, and that will go into Supervisor Scrivener's office in Bakersfield. And all I can say is, write letters and voice your concern, because it does work.
Absolutely, it doesn't help.
It doesn't work in boron.
It does not
You
work
gotta
for
have
solar
conditional
farm
uses.
projects.
It's the only way. We got that one stopped
Well,
up
we and I
there.
need to talk.
Which one?
The original Raceway Solar Project 1.0. And then they slid 2.0 underneath the radar.
All right, thank you.
Well, and that's an issue. Rosamond seems to not have a voice. We should have a voice, and we need to get our community going on these things and not just letting it pass by. So how do we get our community more involved with getting our Kern County supervisors to know that, by the way, you're eroding our community, and there doesn't seem to be anything we can do about it.
The best way you do that, Fran, is by going to the Board of Supervisors meetings and expressing to the Board of Supervisors your dissatisfaction with the way things are going.
So that's a good idea. However, there's no reason we can't have a Zoom meeting with those Board of Supervisors.
Amen.
We could probably pack this place, but they're not going to go to Bakersfield.
So that's the other problem I have too, right? Any of these public hearings, when are they? Tuesday or Thursday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, when 90% of the people are at work.
Yeah.
I took off a day of work to go to the Raceway Solar one, and they pretty much said, we don't care what you got to say, we're not listening to you because it's not open until the final EIR was done. Yet they put it out for public comment.
But why would you do an impact study if the people don't want it in the first place? That's a waste of money.
I think legally you have to allow them to go through that process.
And there's only the area that's 1,000 feet away
Sorry, I'm
from
having
the
a really hard time hearing you.
I can argue with these people.
Why is it that there is such a small area of people that are notified? It's only 1,000 feet from the project.
Correct.
I didn't know about this until I saw a post.
Yeah, that's how the law reads them. I don't know.
It would be nice if there was a central place where the upcoming Rosamond projects were advertised.
Right.
So
We
they
do
are.
we do that through our Facebook page.
And they're on the website.
And they're on Kern County planning websites.
Yeah.
But you have to read that each and every month. How often do they publicize things about the planning department? Is that monthly? Because they meet monthly, is that correct?
I believe so, but I don't know. I don't have any
They
control over their
update their
website. I
website
don't know.
weekly. Weekly.
They
yeah.
update their website weekly?
Weekly, yes. I do check it and I do we do post it on our Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council page. If we see anything that comes up on there, we do post it.
The Board of Supervisors meetings, are they public over the air somewhere?
Yes,
Kern
they're
Valley?
broadcast live on the county's YouTube page and on the county's website.
So you can go to YouTube and watch it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They're live. And then
So
you
we
can go
can-
back later and watch it again if you want to. If you want to comment, you can send an email to the clerk of the board that she reads into the record. There's multiple ways to.
So when you say it reads into the record, are they hearing it from us if we are responding? Like, so
Meaning what?
if we had a Zoom meeting, you can respond back and forth if you have it
Yes.
set up.
Yes,
So-
no, that's not,
so
it's not an
if-
interactive.
So if you have somebody writing stuff in, when does
You
that
have to
get-
send it in ahead of time and the
Right,
clerk puts it in their board packet.
So they will see it.
Yes.
One thing that also can be done, if there is an issue of really large public interest, they can do the remote at Mojave for us.
We're in Rosamond, they can get a port here.
Absolutely.
What is the
Yeah,
problem?
exactly. This
We
town.
I can
request
get
that.
on my phone and have the same thing that they can do in Mojave, so why can't they do that here? I asked for that when they were doing the Raceway project. They were like, it's absolutely unobtainium ultimately.
No.
So the
I'm
reason
like,
why is
it's-
because Hummel Hall is used during those hours normally.
Why don't
That's
we-
what I was told
Why don't we
when I
use
asked for it to
the
be
place
here as
over
well.
there on Glendower Park? What's that one called?
The community building?
Yeah.
Rosamond Community
There's
Building?
more than one place in
Long-
Rosamond.
long
You can
to
do it
the
at a
county.
high school, right? That's a public building. There's plenty of other places to do it.
There's an auditorium there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, you
And
got
that-
one there, you got one at Tropico, you got one, there's more than one place to do
Okay,
it.
I will
That's
check into that and see if we can do it here.
And
where
at
we
a
can do
time
it.
that we can have people here, because there's a lot of people working.
Well, if we're gonna do it though, it has to be during their time
Yeah,
frame.
Yeah.
They're not gonna move the supervisor meetings for us.
Yeah. We have to do it at their times, their designated times and days. But I will work on getting a remote location here in
You
Rosamond.
might be able to do it at RCSD, I mean, they've got that one big room there for that too.
Excuse me.
What'd you say, it's gonna be remote what?
I'm sorry?
You said remote?
Remote,
Thank you.
yes.
How soon can you get the information that's gonna be on the agenda? And does anybody in Rosamond get the agenda on a normal basis for the meeting?
Yeah, so the agenda is always posted the Friday before the meeting.
Okay,
And it's on the county website.
County
Yeah,
website. something.
you
You have to have
sign
your
up on the
comments in by
website,
Thursday.
you go there, and they'll email
I
it to
would
you.
suggest that, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
you
you
don't
don't,
even
you
know
got
where
a
it
comment
needs to
before the
go.
agenda's out, probably. That's
If
what I
you
would
leave us
suggest.
your email address,
If
I will
it's
make sure it
something
gets
that's
to you guys
not
as well.
on the agenda,
They're full
Oh,
of
but if
shit.
it's something that's on the
Word
agenda,
document.
then you can comment at
I
that
was being
time.
a smart ass, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I didn't catch it, I'm sorry.
Gotta be quick. Probably better you didn't.
Okay, and if it's any comfort to you, just about everybody on this panel feels exactly the same way you do. Fighting, I know there's some issues that I've been fighting for 6 years, and I'm not getting a lot of traction on them, but I keep asking about them.
Bigger box.
Well, can we have a list of that? Maybe we need to send that out and see if everybody else has got the same issues. And then we need to do something about it, like having a lot more citizens speak up.
Well, the thing, I'll give you a good example, Fran. You know how you guys have started sharing stuff from Rmac on to Rosamond residents, and I on Rosamond and stuff like that. You know how much impact it's had? Very little. People don't read.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do read. Yeah.
Then they're selective reading that.
Well,
Not enough of them read it. That's
There's-
what's
well,
wrong.
it's selective Facebook. Sometimes you get
Yeah.
a whole bunch of it, sometimes you
Yeah.
don't. One week I'll get something and you're on there and all this stuff and I'll say something because it came up. But you don't get all your friends or who you're following all the time. So that it's not like everybody gets it. It's not.
But the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, we're still a small town. We're trying to learn how to become a city. But people, this is really more so than anything else is a bedroom community. It's not, it doesn't have an industrial base of its own. It doesn't have a real big business base of its own. So it's, people, you know, they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning or earlier to hit the road for LA and points beyond. And they get home at 6 in the evening or hours after that. And they just don't interact with the community.
How many millions of dollars do you think has come in through solar panels to Rosamond? How many millions of dollars has Lockheed put into Rosamond? They have a facility here. There's quite a bit of stuff here compared to what there was. There's grocery stores collecting tax every single day. I know how much I collect every single day for free for the county. It's a job that I gotta do for free, and they just laugh about it. That's the benefit you get of being in business.
Yeah, we do have, and we're growing, but you know, as you get a new business, all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of people here complaining because they're losing their town. And then you don't bring new business in, you got people saying, we're not growing, we're not getting anything, how come we don't have a Walmart here? How come we don't have this? How come we don't have that?
Oh,
So
thank
it's
you.
a no-win situation 90% of the time.
Losing battle, right? Change is hated no matter which way.
I would love to see some of you guys run for the Rosamond Municipal Advisory Council. The election's in November. You should file in June at the latest. We need fresh blood.
That's the one thing too, is that just what you said, you got to plan in June for sometime, or you hear about it when it was supposed to have been turned in 3 months ago. Doesn't matter if it's a water board or this also. And like Fran says, everyone's working, and so you don't. Sometimes you have a chance to come over here and do this, you know, whether it's this or work or my homeowners association meetings. There's a whole lot of stuff goes on.
I know. I'm not trying to pick on anyone. I'm just saying that, you know, look at this room. We have 24,000 people in Rosamond. And look how many people are here. And this is actually a large crowd.
I would have to say, though, my experience, I've came to this a few times in years past, and I haven't seen anything got done. and they send the planning lady that lives here in town, Lorelei here, and that's as worthless as could be, and nothing has happened. It's like you're talking to deaf ears. So over the 10, 15 years that they've been having this, people got tired of, what good is that?
You do get stuff done. You get the road paved on 60th Street from 60th to like 61st or 60th and a half that goes to nowhere out there off of, what is it? Astoria or Match or whatever, that must go to somebody county's house.
Where did that come from?
It's the only paved road out there off of 60th.
You gotta figure out who lives on the street.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we need to move on, guys.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to let you know that we're actually on your side. We think Jim Hill's a bad idea, but, you know, we got to go through the motions.
Due process.
Okay, there's no one from Kern County Sheriff tonight or California Highway Patrol, but I will make a note on California Highway Patrol. John Williams did retire from California Highway Patrol. He had his ceremony on the 14th of January at the Mojave Station, and quite a few folks who were there speaking glowingly about John's many years of service, and I, for one, believe that we're going to miss John Williams around here. Okay.
Wrong plug.
I got the right plug, I didn't get it all the way out, sorry.
And I think it was a great tribute to the Rmac that you had the foresight to present a mantle clock to John. And that was very thoughtful, and thank you for representing the people of Rosamond.
Well, he meant a lot to us. Like I said, going back to the overpass, John was really helpful on that. I'm hoping that we'll have someone equally enthused about Rosamond taking his place.
Well, maybe he can get engaged in this too.
Well, he's moving, he's out looking for a place somewhere in like.
Okay, Kern County Fire Department, Chief Romero couldn't be here tonight, but I do have some notes from him. And if you'll indulge me, I'll go ahead and read these. He wanted to let everyone know in 2021, their approximate total calls for Station 15 was between 2,400 to 2,500. So that works out to about 80 calls per day. Fire inspections for businesses have been stopped temporarily due to COVID, and he will advise us whenever they kick those back in. They have started hydrant painting and have painted 27 out of 63 in their section and should be complete by the end of February. Fire season is coming upon us, and I'd like to ask everyone to start looking at hazard reduction. Get your permits and only burn when you have a permit. To all that was concerned about the home on 35th Street West, it has been cleaned. I want to thank the homeowners who cleaned it. It not only protects your investment, but the neighbor's investment as well. Thank you again. Chief Romero. Okay, Carlo, I'm going to turn the floor over to you for Tom Lackey's input.
Oh, sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is Carlo Basile. I'm a field rep for Assemblyman Tom Lackey. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I'm happy to be here. I made it through the traffic, and I know you guys are home. I still got to get home. But in the state laws, we are in a weird time. The legislature is still working on new bills. They will be finished tomorrow. So next meeting, I might have some stuff that's related to Rosamond or maybe the desert. More information on timely issues that might pertain to Rosamond. In the meantime, I can tell you that one of the biggest things that came up in January was the universal single-payer health care proposal that was actually brought up last year, and it was pulled back by its author when they saw that they had no support among the majority party. Even that one didn't have any support. It was really an interesting idea, but I think it's probably too big a hammer for too small a nail. They were talking about a $200 billion budget just for that program alone, a year. And so we're kind of glad that went away, but we'll see what else comes up. On the state front, otherwise, we've been having some questions about PUC usage, because the PUC has been looking to discontinue its solar incentives on the installation rooftop solar. That action, because of attention probably by taxpayers and comments to legislators, that action has been delayed and they won't do anything for a while yet. So the program's still continuing. And having to do with that, there is state laws that are talking about decarbonization in California by 2035. Now these laws were passed in the last few years. It's the typical, bury the football and then 2 or 3 years later you discover that you don't have a football, you have a real problem. It was one of those laws that got passed among a flurry of other laws where the effects don't take effect right away. And decarbonization sounds like a great idea. Everybody wants to drive an electric car in California, it seems. But the cost isn't really realistic. And the idea of getting rid of several gas-powered power plants over in Arizona, plus a nuclear power plant in the middle of California, seems like we're heading for trouble with the electrical grid. Once their solution was solar panels. Don't you guys like to hear that?
No.
And we're talking 400, the calculation from somebody who just threw it off the top of their head, so I could be wrong about this, is somewhere around 470,000 acres of solar panels.
So can we talk about that for a second?
That's half of the AV.
So why don't we do that
Half
smartly?
the AV.
Why don't we do that smartly?
Why don't we not do it at all?
That sounds.
Well,
I'm sorry.
but we're gonna have to do it because it's gonna happen, right? So do it smartly.
Yeah.
Why isn't every place that we park covered in solar before our desert is?
Yeah.
Every grocery store, every high school, every parking lot that you park in out here, so it gets benefit to everybody. I said this before to you guys.
The grid's already there.
The grid's already there. The problem is big companies don't get the kickback for it. But screw that, because it's not for the kickbacks for the companies, it's for the people, right? Impose that to happen.
Well, yeah.
What about that big state surplus of money that keeps getting siphoned away for all kinds of things?
Smart solar is a good idea. Put it on houses,
But
right?
who pays
The problem
for the-
is the infrastructure to get the power there.
Exactly.
That's
Who
why these
pays
incentives
for
are
that?
going away, and they're levying all that money now on the commercial businesses because they're the ones that can't put up solar to do that because it doesn't make sense for them.
It's like.
But that is the problem: is the infrastructure to
Well,
get
it's
nighttime
a
power.
big problem, and it has a lot of possible solutions. And I just wanted to bring you up, because in the next 5 to 10 years, we will be seeing a lot of different solutions.
But we need to
And
start
everybody's
pushing
got
that
to
smart
be
solar.
getting organized.
Yes.
And if you want a certain solution and a certain outcome, this is the time to get going. Because 2035 sounds like it's way off in the future, but it
It's
is.
not.
And it may happen, it may not.
Well, right now you can't buy a generator.
Oh, that was last year's law, yeah.
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 So you can't buy a generator to go out and run a power drill if you're working out by your house, out in the middle of the desert somewhere. Because you can't buy a generator in California because that pollutes too much.
But you run mine trucks 24/7.
Yep.
Yeah, I just bought one now, so I don't know how I got that.
I think it has
You're a criminal.
No, I think there's a start, there's a date,
Black
like I said
market.
with these laws, there's a date usually thrown into the future. So people don't, it kind of sneaks up on you.
Anything else, Carlin?
I think that's enough. isn't
All
it?
right, I asked a question.
But I'm open to any question, please.
Okay, so I wrote to Lackey, and I think I talked to you or somebody in your office.
Mhm.
I wrote you a long list of things I would like to see. I'd like to have Lackey come back and do his coffee, meet with the community, and it really went well the time I attended. I'd also like you to get us a bank, help us get a bank here in Rosamond. But I haven't heard any more feedback after that list I sent you guys.
Bank in Rosamond.
Bank in Rosamond.
Well, I think we might be able to do the coffee, but I don't know about the bank in Rosamond.
Well, anything
And
you
can
know.
anybody explain that? Can anybody explain why you can't have a bank in Rosamond, but you can have 3 banks in Tehachapi?
Yeah.
Well, I've
Or
moved every
more.
one of them to come down here to Rosamond, and I
Up to the
still
bank
get.
corporations.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
The industry itself is shrinking. Branches are being closed left and right, unfortunately.
Yeah, well.
Sign of the time, technology, trust me, I'd love to have a bank in Rosamond.
Well, I got a little logic, so they told me, we ain't building Rosamond, it's $5 million to set up a bank.
Yeah.
So, I
Very
understand
possible.
that, but
That's
if even
the
we could
thing.
just have a small, in Albertsons or some store, you know, we used to have some of those instead of these machines. We'd set
And
up
I'm
for
bumping
some.
up against time, and please let us move on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good.
I'd like to raise a question, if I may. I know we've got a lot of important topics here, but I believe the citizens of California voted more than 3 years ago to do daylight savings time, to do away with it.
We did.
3.5 years. What's going on?
I don't know, I will look into it.
Thank you.
I do know that about 7 years ago, we voted for 2 huge water reservoirs to be built in the Sierra Nevada. Not a shovel has been turned.
We got the
And
last.
a lot of it has to do with environmental impacts at Sequel.
We voted on Prop 8.
So the
but-
same things
but-
that, there are a lot of hidden things that, great ideas.
This is simple. This is not an environmental impact study. Stop changing our clocks.
The other. I thought we were supposed to vote, but then you vote and then they tell you, well, you really don't know what you're talking about. We
Well,
gotta
if you
change
vote, they
that.
don't like it, they change it anyway. Look at Prop 8.
That's what I'm saying. You really don't know what you're doing.
Go ahead.
Kern County Supervisor Lauren, you have the floor.
Except the gas tax, right?
Good evening, everybody. So my name is Laura Lynn Wyatt. I'm the East Kern Field Representative for Supervisor Zach Scrivener's office. I don't know if you noticed on your way in this evening, there's some nice graffiti on the side of the building here. I wanted to reassure everybody quickly. When I first got here, John brought up the topic of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office Department laying off a lot of their deputies for the vaccine mandate. I don't know if you saw the viral video, but Kern County capitalized on that. And we did a promotional video trying to attract some of the LA County deputies to lateral transfer to Kern County. And if you laterally transfer, there's a $2,500 or $25,000 signing bonus that is. So the board has taken a very active role with Donnie Youngblood to try to increase our staffing levels in the Sheriff's Department. Retirements are happening faster than the hiring process right now. So we may, unfortunately, see things get a little bit worse before they get better, but I think they're going to get better. They're really actively recruiting and trying to bump those staffing levels up. The last thing that I have for you guys this evening is, tonight's my last meeting.
Oh, goodness.
The way that my employment contract is with the county and Supervisor Scrivener's budget, I am required to be off the books and off payroll for 90 days. So his Chief of Staff, John Antoneros, will be coming over here from Bakersfield to attend your meetings. Any emails, you can still use my email address if you want to, but it will be forwarded to the office in Bakersfield, at least until July. And at that point, Supervisor Scrivener will get with the financial office in Bakersfield and see if some kind of proposal can come my way. So.
And that's effective when? I'm sorry, you said your last meeting's tonight, but when are you
Yes,
effective
ma'am.
done?
March 1st.
March 1st.
So we can still contact March 1st.
Okay, Southern Kern Unified School District, I don't believe there's anyone here. Do you have anything, John, from your meetings?
The meeting, of course, was last night, and they're all online now. And really nothing earth-shaking at all. They're kind of in a period where they have the money paid back to the county, so they're not paying any more back on the loan. The enrollment is going down, unfortunately, but the trustees are optimistic, a good group of trustees, and the meetings actually online aren't bad at all when they get the audio right and the video right. Otherwise, they're catastrophe. You can't hear or you can't understand. But if they got that right, I think more people would attend.
Takes growing pains to do that Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Jim?
Let's see. No, really not. The water board met again to discuss their general manager in a special meeting. That's 3 special meetings. I'm kind of curious as to what's actually happening, but he's getting close to retirement. He's near to 70 years old, and so I'm wondering if that's what's happening. He's going to retire with a package.
All right. Antelope Valley citizens for responsible use of water. Randy, you have the floor.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't want to put my back to a bunch of people. The water situation, as you probably know, is kind of like good news, bad news. The rainfall average, or the rainfall that we've had mostly in December and a little bit since then, has put us basically on the average rainfall for this time of the year. However, there's predictions already about not much in the future. But anyway, so right now we're on the basically on average for the accounting so far. The reservoirs are anywhere from about 2/3 to maybe a little bit more than that relative to their historical average. They're still relatively low relative to overall capacity. The snowpack is lower. It's around about 60 to 70% of what the average is for this time of the year. But based upon the rain that we did have and the snow that we did have, the State Department of Water Resources raised the allocation to the state water contractors, which in our case is AVEC, Little Rock Irrigation, and Palmdale Water District. The initial allocation was 0% out of the aqueduct, and they raised it to 15%. We've had 15% before. That's usually not a terrible number relative to most of the customers and so on. However, the bad news, if you will, there's a lot of, we're still in a relative drought, and there's very few predictions forecasting any kind of precipitation over the next couple of months. The next couple of February and March are typically, hopefully, wet years, but or wet times of the year, but we haven't got much in the way of outlook as far as that goes. So we may still be in a drought, and maybe even a worse drought. There are a few counties that are already imposing some water restrictions and so on. Not much talk about doing that here. Between the water that we get out of the ground and, like I say, what's going to be allocated to AVEC, there's not too much talk of having to do that here. However, some counties throughout the state have done that. The state actually has imposed what they call a water emergency with mostly recommendations. Most of the recommendations are to cut back use by about 15% if people are able to do that. That's about it. Any questions?
Can we cut about 15% by not building any more houses until we have water? Because that's another thing, that if you have enough money to pay, you can get water. I don't know where, but you can get water. Money makes water. Well, whether it's there or not.
The overall adjudication that was, you know, the courts finally, well, they did an out of court settlement and so on and so forth. You can buy water rights from other users and so on. That's what they were looking at as far as what they call transferability and so on like that.
But there's no water to begin with. Everyone's got to cut back. There's no users.
Well, the allocation for ground, now we're talking groundwater, not water coming out of the aqueduct, but the allocation through the adjudication allocated a certain amount to each of the cities and all the various entities, the pumpers and so on. And so, you know, they're in a basically a cutback for 7 years. They're I guess the 5th year into it now, that most of them are having to cut back certain amounts. But like, as an example, in the newspaper a week or two ago, RCSD was able to buy some water rights from others and so on. So that's what's really going on as far as the groundwater goes, and then, you know, for the city or a county to issue what's called a will serve letter to builders and so on, they have to have a certain amount of water, or they can buy it from someone else, the water rights from somewhere else. You know, so that, but there is a limit to that. I mean, that's what the adjudication did as far as that.
And is that, so is it correct that if you buy property, you own those water rights? Like, for example, the Jim Hill project, the company that bought that, Cal Portland that bought that, owns that water right in that aquifer?
Yeah, I don't know for sure, because there's been so much in the way of transferability of water rights and so on. You know, they can buy rights from someone else because we're judged to be in one large aquifer. So, like as an example, many of the farmers, as has happened in other areas in the state when they've done an adjudication, they've been able to sell water rights. So whether or not they've got the water rights for that property or they're buying them from somewhere else, I don't know.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Okay.
Okay, there's no one for base.
I could say one thing. They are having an air show October 14th to 16th. There's been some publicity about that, and there'll be a lot more in the future. But there will be an air show out at Edwards, and I guess there's some overflying that they're going to do. I don't know all the details, but they do expect to have displays and people attending out at the base.
You think it's going to be an open public event?
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
It's
Yeah.
the 71st anniversary of Edwards Air Force Base.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks like, yeah, they're expecting maybe, you know, tens or hundreds of thousands. They're even looking at, they've hired, I think, somebody to try and manage crowd planning for crowd control. When you get hundreds of thousands out there, it can be a bit of a mess at times. But yeah, October 14th to 16th is what they're doing.
Okay. And nothing on something out at Fox Field this year?
I believe there won't be one because they're looking at alternating, you know, so I think that's their intent, but nobody's saying anything about next year. Yeah.
Alternate them between Edwards and Fox.
This weekend, there's going to be Plane Crazy over at the Mojave Airport. Breakfast, I think, is at 8, and they start talking at 11. And, it's been pretty good. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but they have very interesting speakers, and it's a great show.
This Saturday? Next Saturday?
This Saturday.
Third Saturday?
Yeah, third Saturday.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to community announcements. Do we have anyone that needs to make an announcement for the community? Okay, Carla, go ahead.
All right. I'm really getting to be a hog now. There's Tom Leckie in the state office has decided for this area that he would like to see if we could all pick a hero, either fireman. He's had a hero of the month. And it's an everyday hero program. All you have to do is recommend somebody, put in why, put your name in, and we'll contact it and try and do the rest. All right? It's only going to be like one fireman for the month, but you know, it's kind of a community service in that there's a lot of things to be grateful for, and one of them is the first responders. We had the month of first responders in January. We had nurses. Now we're having firemen, and I think the next one after that is police. So please think about a fireman. These sheets can be filled out, and we really don't need them back until like March the 10th. So if you could think of a fireman, that'd be great. And I like to leave them somewhere.
You can give them to us up here, and we can make extra copies.
All right, thank you very much.
Can I make a comment? I'd like to thank Laura for all the help she's given us, especially at the Rosamond Park. And I hope you get to come back in July. So I'm going to be sending you a lot of stuff before then. And I'm going to see if I can talk to you before you leave.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that.
Okay. Alrighty, moving on to the next item on the agenda, notice of opportunity for public hearing. Vesting tentative parcel map number 12422. And this is essentially a proposal for division of a 15-acre parcel into 10 commercial properties and one something on the corner of 28th Street and Rosamond Boulevard. They're looking to find out if anyone has any issues with that, and if there are none, then they're going to go ahead and proceed with it. If you do have some comments to make on it, you need to submit them. I believe it is by the 21st of February to the planner. It's contained in the notice that is on the Rmac Facebook page that has all the details there.
Is it commercial property now?
Yes.
It is.
It's the one piece of property that's got Newsom recall spray painted on it. So.
And so there's the apartments behind that, isn't there? It's the frontage.
Not directly behind it, but there's some on the other side of the street on 28th Street, kind of back behind
We're currently
Rite Aid.
building something there because it's currently underneath excavation and watering, so.
No, this is right across from the high school.
Right behind that set of properties, they're now starting to
Really?
water and
Behind
turn
their
up.
mom and dad's house?
No, it'd be just right off the boulevard. One property off the boulevard.
But anyway, if you have comments about it, and they've got a site plan in that handout as well, so if you are affected by that, you live on 28th Street, for example, you might want to take a look at it, and if you have comments, get those into the county as soon as possible.
Is that commercially zoned, that?
Yes. It's belonged to a Rosamond family for many, many years. It's in their family trust, and they're looking to develop it. Okay, review of bylaws. Wish I had some progress to report on that, but I'm still working through it. I've got to also work with county council. That's part of what's slowing me down. The other part of it is coming up with a suitable PDF to OCR converter so that I don't have to sit there and type the whole thing out again. But we're working now. Hopefully I'll have some news for you on that next month. Old business, this is for the council here itself. We still have a few folks that have not done their ethics training, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or their sexual harassment training. You need to get it completed. At some point in time, they're not going to turn a blind eye to it anymore. Okay, road repairs, upkeep, and safety. I have a Word document, and I'm going to share a copy of this with you, Fran, because we were talking about this earlier in the meeting. But I've been going through the community and everything, and so I've got the start of the list. Still got several pages that got to be added to it. But you can see what we're doing and where the problem areas are. We have a lot of areas on the north side of Rosamond Boulevard, especially as you get up to the steps of the hills, where the roadways are apparently not very well built, and so there's separation occurring in the roadway. There's also a lot of what I call decomposing asphalt, where the binder is falling apart and the road is falling apart as a result of it. But we also have quite a few streets here in the town that are in very good shape. So I don't know what the difference is. You have the two extremes in the same neighborhood. But there's that, and I'll share that with you, Fran, so if you have some suggestions, you can make them, and we can go from there.
Sure, I'd like to.
Okay. Anyone have any items for the agenda for next month?
No, sir.
No. Any comments?
I have a comment. I'd like to thank you for all your help. I'm gonna miss you these next 3 months, Laurelyn. You have been amazing, working with us with the parks, with the pool, with the skate park, with the, you name it. Everything. I appreciate it, and I'm gonna miss you. But you're not going to stop hearing from me, just so you know, because I know you'll be back in July. I kind of don't know what I'm going to do right now. So,
We'll make sure they know we want you back.
I don't know what to do.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I do thank you, and I'm gonna miss you, so we'll see you in July.
Okay, we have one other item. We did lose our secretary back in November. She moved out of state. I would like someone to either volunteer for it, or we can open up and nominate someone and put it up for a vote. I would prefer a volunteer.
Are you asking me to volunteer while you pass me the secretary
So,
logo?
that was a subtle
He
suggestion on
passed
my
this to
part.
me during the meeting. I was like,
I
tried
nominate
passing
Roger.
it,
I think you were voluntold.
I think I was voluntold, so I will voluntold it. Take it.
Well, that's good enough. I can
Okay,
have that in some way.
so that's settled. Lisa Sanchez will be our secretary. Okay, anything else? If not, I'm gonna go ahead and move for an adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is adjourned at 8:05.
Happy birthday.